It's like, am I actually hearing or not? Not sure what's. No, my microphone's working.
Mine is, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, maybe I forgot to.
To join
Yep.
the audio, which is a weird concept. Like you join a call and you join with computer audio. It always asks,
Stupid machine.
no, it's a stupid Zoom.
Stupid machine.
Yeah. Oops, static. Oh,
So aggressive always
yeah.
for machines.
The machines. Yeah, that seems like.
Trying a different setup because I have two of these lights, but I mean, these lights only work when there is really dark.
Yeah, I see.
Although, because if I try one thing down, okay, and then so that's purple. Oh, this is yeah, okay. It's just one. I have just one room. I mean, they have remotes each of these lamps, but I'm trying to now point that, but so that was not supposed to.
Like classic, like back in the days, like, if you're rich and you have like two TVs, like in different rooms, but if you have the door open and use a remote and it interferes. Oh wow.
Wow. Okay. So, but you
What?
can see now this is purple. You can see now the purple on this one.
But can you point it with the camera? Because I don't see it. Oh, okay. Okay. But yeah, it doesn't really cast the light.
Actually, normally the way how like normally like a classic setup when for these things, for web, you have one that is doing some wait. Normally then you put like the one in the back that is like giving you, and that should be lower actually. Okay, I guess this is it. Yeah, normally so you put like the big source of light behind you, and then that gives the so normally there's a name for that when you have like in movies you have this like half face illumination, so
Yeah.
then you give accent with some drama or something with the one that is side to the face, and the light normally comes there in the back, and then some white parabolic light there, parabolic light, then that, and that is just the the tint you want. But I can see it. I can see it there slightly. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so professional.
Very gentle touch.
Yes. Yeah,
Actually,
because
I don't.
that's what I like from I like from lights is lights are like well done lights, and sound is you don't perceive it consciously. It's just like it's very yeah, it's very subtle.
Hmm, I see.
Uh, uh, how's it going?
Yeah, there's a bit urgent paperwork, which everything was done, but we just have to like collect signatures, and I just had to like write it, and I forgot to I I forgot to forward the email to Nuno, and I did like reply, so the attachment was missing, and I had to like do it again.
Oh,
But now it should be fine. It's the ball is on Nuno right now, so I hope that we need another signature from head
oh,
of the department.
are you now in Nuno's office, or I never saw this
Oh yeah, this
background?
is a conference room actually.
So you guys have a common space with William U. Nuno's office and a third office, or
This is not ours. It's in the same floor.
of
So it's just
mathematics?
right across. Yeah, so that's why they have this mathematics thesis and all these
Okay,
mathematics people. Um, well, they look kind of, having fun. I
I'm
like
pretty sure they
these.
have fun.
Yeah, I like these photos. I mean, not that I like in a way that it's kind of cute. I don't want to have it, but with but we should have a group photo actually, like Nuno and
Yes.
William. We haven't done it. It's always like,
Yeah.
someone's like taking photo, but we
But
don't
this
have a
is
group
part of
photo.
this things that people don't really take care of. Like, I mean, yeah, like yeah, these simple things people don't really think until you finish, and then starting from artists, so say just like documenting, just like
Yeah,
a gesture on let's take a picture, and doesn't have to be with a professional camera, just a picture with the phone, and let's come together for a second
yeah.
and then just take a picture. Salute, dinero. Oh no, we got short because in Colombia, I don't know, I never heard like there, like people, you when you sneeze, people say salud, dinero, amor. So normally you sneeze 3 times,
Oh,
then you are in the circle. Otherwise, then
oh, I
love,
missed
man,
the love.
the love, yeah. But it's good if you're healthy and then you have money, you can buy love, man. Forget about the shit.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have to choose from two from those three,
If
it's a
you
good
have to
question.
choose one, if you have to choose one from those three, what would you choose?
It's a good question. I was about to say health, but not sure actually. But yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think like before I was not so conscious on that until I got this thing. I remember that I was in conversation with Gabriel and I shared one day after like some days on that. Then that normally I remember my family in New Year's that in Colombia, like 24 and 31 is like a big thing. Christmas and New Year's. And
Yeah.
then always people in New Year's, especially people are very dramatic. So then always the adults were saying that as long as you have health, everything is fine. And that was like everything, like you hear that repeatedly in my family. And
Mm,
when this I got this, I remember that I felt that was so like true. I felt it as a fundamental thing. Like I need
mm,
health. If you have health, you can deal with anything. But if you have no health, like what are you gonna do?
right. Yeah. Yeah, to me it's more like I think my grandma was always saying that because I mean she survived the war and also she has some kind of like issue with the mobility. She can't really like walk normally, but she lived till like 97 years old, I think. And yeah, she was always saying that like
Wow.
that she never missed a class in the elementary school. She's so proud of it because she was
Wow.
healthy.
Yeah, I think I think that's amazing when people can do these things.
Yeah.
There was a guy in the States some months ago. They show him in the Belgium news. I think the guy was somebody who I think he was just already 40 years, I think, working already in McDonald's or something like this. And the guy never in the 40 years of work have missed one day of work. And the guy was, but I found this, I think it's interesting because if from some perspective you can be very judgmental, what is that you are gonna miss in going to McDonald's to work, right? And the guy was so proud and that he shared that with his kids.
Mm, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes me think a lot of things, but yeah. Okay.
But this is maybe connected to things that I think we're talking like on both of meaning, like that's like meaning. Like I found that so maybe interesting and relevant for the conversation we're having,
Mm,
that how humans attach meaning to things, and like there is not such a thing like as universals,
no.
although like that's the place how modernity has been has been built by universals. I mean, from philosophy, but also then empirical research in sciences is by understanding like this. Yeah, I mean, in philosophy that goes down to universals that are proposed like from Plato. But yeah, things are like, I mean, there's no such a thing like what humans do is like things are very dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand like we if we think about others, we can't always think about every possibility, every single, possibility, like how you would think. So you have to kind of have some kind of assumption, and that's attached to how you think, right?
So
That's why, like,
can you try to say it again, because I think I didn't follow completely.
so when you think about like how others think, you start with, your position, because if you start
Mm.
to think about, all the different possibilities, then you just run out of time. We all have only 24 hours a day, so
But this is interesting because actually, from the point of view of dimensionality, uh, I don't know who is the one like that he's writing about that, but I hear it from somebody in PUF, Ben Howard. He was saying that when I was asking about dimensionality back then, when I was start working in my paper for my thesis as a multidimensional body,
mm,
um, then he was saying that the way how the human exists, or like the what it makes a differentiation from like say humans to or dogs, is that the human recognize and develop itself in relation to what is not. So
mm.
one can argue that what you're saying is I think like maybe, yeah, so that could be the opposite, that not totally. I don't know if you get my point when I said before.
I mean, in a way, it's well, it's not about the relational, but mm,
But it is, I mean, I think it is relational. Like
yeah,
in both cases, say like in the case, from what I understood that you're saying is that, of course, to start like understanding, I have to start from my perspective, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
from what I know, because this is just what I know from my
yeah,
experience, right? Um, that's why, for instance, in the place that we are now working with Danny, it makes sense in that process that then she proposed a text and trying to like then from there like then we go and to try to find a common ground to start building from there. And so that's one point, but then what I'm saying is that um but maybe I'm missing a part of that, is that is very relational at the core, in the sense that is because I'm not a dog, then I know I'm, you can say it like then human in that sense, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like in that in a negation process of, by not being, you are something.
mm, yeah,
And apparently that's really at the core of human cognition, or like what it makes human, the understanding that you are not that.
mm, I see. I mean, I can see that the it's kind of process of making the boundaries.
But what it makes it, I think, say, bring it back to like the small conversation we were having early, is that I think there's the need to find common grounds to deep into something, um, especially when you want to be more dialectic in the conversation. So to build upon each other, and there is something that I cannot grasp completely now because with complexity, but there was something about the singular that uh is how to recognize singularity within the common, in a way, within a common idea. How to recognize the singularity that is in relation to a common.
Okay, but what do you mean by singularity?
Like, nice that you asked me, because this is something that so the I'm trying to bring you to a place that I'm trying to study these days about Simondon, and something that he introduces that he calls individuation, that other ones calls like for instance, somebody who builds upon him that I'm studying these days is Bernard Stiegler. And Stiegler calls that there is an evolution from Kant, and this Kant called that process of connecting the empirical with the transcendental, that process in between, that transition, he will call it schematization, and it's kind of magical. I remember in the voice message I was saying that there is these contradictions in philosophy, and being so concrete, and all of a sudden is like, this is magical, this is fantastic, and then you're okay. So anyways, it comes from Kant. He calls it like schematization, which connects empirical and transcendental. And then Simondon speaks on that, on the individuation. And then Ziegler will say that that's a transition into a milieu that is always relational. But going back then to the Simondon point of individuation, is something that is different from the individual, as in the individual understood, the individual is more close to the ontogenesis, or the genesis of a being, how a being becomes, uh, in how a being is becoming. So what it makes an apple from a different, what, like if you have two apples, the two apples are apples, but you can see that they are that they have individual traits. Um, but that falls short for Simondon, because the individuation is something that is, first to say, like, is never a full trait of something, is always in relation to different systems. I mean, this is, I guess, bringing this idea of systems from complexity maybe is maybe not the best idea right now, but is always in relation to certain, yeah, I guess, I don't know, yeah, systems. I cannot find a different way to mention that. But it's like, if you think in dimensionality, then you can start thinking, or in zoom out the scope, they are parts, they are always in relation. So they are always, is never static. From that point of view, you cannot speak on universals. Like, this idea of the universals of Plato is challenged, and it's always in relation to each other, that they can become something. So this individuation is different from the
Mm,
individual, in the sense that the individual carries the individual, but it carries a realm of potentiality that it dissolve, or dissolve within different aspects of a milieu, or an ecology, of different agents of that system.
mm,
So one can say it's a transition state that carries the individual.
okay. I mean, like the way we were saying grouping and ungrouping,
Hmm.
at one point. Is that like something related?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Thank you. Thanks for bringing this. Yeah, totally is that I found like when I start doing this process of entering from different people who grow things, then I got excited sometimes to find that there are people who wrote down these things in different ways. But it's
Mm,
so in that sense, it's totally this idea of grouping and ungrouping as a dynamic process of becoming.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Becoming, but
Becoming.
also becoming together. You cannot. That's why in that sense, when I was trying to highlight what the comment in the relation to the comment of that person, because it is very important in that sense of becoming. You are in relations to in that place between these two agents, being the human and the stick figure, like they are in relation and that cannot be without each other. They are
Right.
becoming something that is together in the relation of being together with own individual characteristics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I mean, I already noticed when you said that in the voice message, and like what immediately I thought is this novel from Murakami Haruki, and basically at the beginning of the story, um, in this fantasy world, they have two different worlds. One is like real world in Tokyo, and one is like in the fantasy. And the protagonist in that world, he carries the shadow, but then when he arrives at this kind of village, he has to let the shadow go away from him because you cannot carry the shadow in this village. So there's this
What
guard.
what does it
At,
mean? What does it mean? Sorry, did I interrupt you? Try to understand. Is the literally shadow like the light shadow of the person, or what is that shadow?
so this is interesting point because they don't really say it. You know, it's a novel, so they don't really like they explain that but it's a shadow. It's no more than a shadow. So you can interpret in different ways, but also you can take it in a literal way. But basically, there's a guard at the gate, and he has a knife, and he will cut the shadow off, and he will take care of the shadow. But shadow
Okay.
cannot. Shadow depends on the human body, so he will get like weaker and weaker, and at one point he
The
will
shadow,
die. Yeah.
the shadow.
Yeah. But the human
Okay.
or the body can live in this village without the shadow. So what is
Hmm.
it? I mean, he doesn't really tell like what is exactly about, but it's he's just setting up this story. And yeah, what's interesting to me is that you can interpret in different ways, or you don't have to interpret. I don't really try to interpret because people try to come up with their own interpretation, but I guess that's not really the point. That it carries the potentiality because you can interpret or not, but that's up to you.
But then I'm wondering that story if it's the fact that being in the village with other people makes the shadow irrelevant.
What do you mean the shadow irrelevant?
Like
Oh,
the
because
it's just Mhm.
there's no interaction between
Because
the
no, I'm trying to find out why is that the shadow cannot be in the village with the person and the shadow. I mean, mm, my interpretation of this is maybe or either. So is the shadow dies or the shadow disappear from the story and you don't know if he dies or not?
so the idea is like what they expect is you the body become integrated in the village, the society of this little village. So
Yeah.
and you have the past, from the whatever wherever you came from, but the idea is that you will slowly forget about it and you get integrated and it becomes more like a just a piece of you know how to say, yeah, just society.
Oh.
So you just start not to question about it, but then
But before the guy. Before the person before was having a relation with the shadow and acknowledging the shadow.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay, I see.
But then like, you start to, slowly forget, and that's the time that the shadow will die. But you
Yeah,
will not notice because you will be like completely integrated in the society.
I see. I see. Like, yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful like metaphor.
Yeah, and
Like,
of
it
course, like
reminds
there's
me.
more like layers to it, but it's really like clever how they set this up, I think.
It sounds very interesting to me. Like, it reminds me like the in how some people said like when you die there's three ways on how you die. Like the physical when you die, and then there is a memory of you who die, and there is a third aspect of you who die. I don't remember exactly now. What is it?
Yeah, sounds familiar, but what's the third one?
Yeah, maybe that's the last one, and there is something in between. First is the physical. The second, what might be? Because I think the last one is when your memory dies.
Right.
Could be that
I
is
think it's when it's
maybe
buried, like as
is
like
what?
physical body is like buried or like um
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, in between, like, so one is like as a whole, like body, like a mind or spirit and body. Then you die, and then the second one, then the body disappear, and then the third might be the
it's a
memory of
memory.
the soul, the
Yeah.
memory. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
makes
just
sense.
looked it up.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It makes
But it
sense
makes
totally.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But why are we saying this? The shadow. Oh yeah, the skeleton or the stick figure.
The stick figure.
I'm gonna make a physical version with that.
What?
You can make the. I'm gonna make the physical stick figure with that light. I mean that in a way that's like Muybridge. Edward Muybridge was doing in the beginning of 20th century, right?
Who?
Um, I never can spell his name right. Edward Muybridge. Edward.
Don't,
Okay, this is something I
don't
can't
remember
really
hearing this person.
like when people talk about like, for example, ah, like motion tracking. This is like the let's say the first motion tracking in a way. If you search like
Oh, I had.
images,
Yeah, wow. So this is the guy who like start working. I remember this. I have crossed these images of the horses.
yeah, that's like like at one moment the none of the legs touch the ground, right? That was a
Right,
dispute, and he showed that actually the horse is flying at one point in time when it's
right.
galloping.
Yeah.
But also he did a
Interesting.
lot with like human bodies, and yeah, also like I heard like there are like really weird photos he captured, not just naked bodies, but yeah, he had some kind of weird fetish, it seems. But anyways, that's not the point. Um, but yeah, basically like skeleton tracking or stick figure. Like first ones are these ones, right?
I see what you mean with this.
Yeah. So literally, like if you have the lights, attached to your body. I mean, also like Oscar Schlemmer. Actually, that was something I it's more like a direct connection, but yeah, like the stick stick dance.
Okay, okay, okay. But what I think like I guess from my perspective, that I found difficult to follow is that with the light, especially with the light, but the light is different if you work with lasers. But if the light has this diffusion uh nature, then the more lights you put together, the less you will see as a unit.
Mm, like not interfere with each other, but yeah, like diffuses,
Yeah,
scatters around.
yeah.
True, true.
Which I have always been curious, like, I mean, especially some years ago, in trying to understanding what is the differences between light emission and other source of. Yeah, I mean, there is like light is like one thing. I mean, it has its own physics. Maxwell was the one who that appears later in physics. But before of that is just matter. But matter and light they're not ruled by the same thing, although but I think that's more advanced. They're matter at the end. Light is matter, or this I don't think it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
no,
I think
matter
that
and wave at the same time. That's the whole point. Because Maxwell was saying that it's a wave. He didn't
right.
say it's a matter. But then
Right.
it's more in the quantum physics. I don't know who exactly what's that, but yeah, it's this duality.
But it's so interesting that in the times that we are, I guess that's why like all these uh also that's not true because I was just checking also then for instance say like Simondon is just somebody who's being translated into English only in 2010. So it's just
Mm,
a recent thing. So he wrote that I think in the 70s, the main thesis, but he's just being just now that is more back
mm,
in different contexts. And I think it has to be with this situation or the problem that physics are when more physics go into the trying to go more close into the matter or trying to go more in zoom in. They find that the many of the things from which physics has been built are not totally true. And so it makes everything relative, which was saying like that was the whole point of with relativity from when that appeared like back then, that like just more in time just appeared to be the case that everything in a way is just not stable at all. So this idea of speaking from universals or globals or so like the way how science has been deployed is very questionable.
mm. Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's connection to it, but like now that I'm doing HCI, I guess like when they started HCI, it was more about quantitative study, like how fast you can, I don't know, press the button or something you measure it and figure out if it's effective or not. But nowadays, I mean, maybe it's maybe like part of evaluation, but it's more of a qualitative study.
Mm, interesting. But it's interesting, but at the same time, I remember last year, it was last year, I think when I went to some conference, like one after the other one. And then I was talking often with Nassim, that Nassim has a broad view of different things, which I think is not so easy from when you start getting into, in-depth research like PhDs,
Yeah.
because often it happens just because of time. You just actually start to know less and less from other topics. But he's somebody that I think is just very gifted, and he just reads a lot. And then one of the things we were talking was on in relation to academia in Europe and in the States. And I think we were talking with you on that when we were walking and we were doing this thing in Ljubljana.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I remember that I was mentioning that in the fact that in the States you have this neoliberal system very much without borders, it makes go faster the research in
Yeah.
because it's always in relation to make things that work and prove it and then sell it and do it again and just fast this process, while in Europe is more conservative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so I was kind of trying to understand, you know, like when what domain is that about, or is it like in general? I actually don't know, especially like when it comes to the industry. I don't know. I mean, that's what we, I mean, as a common sense, you know, like if you think about Silicon Valley, for example, and then the China, you know, it makes kind of sense, I
But
guess.
I was thinking, like, if I remember now, because there's a contradiction in that. So in one time, there's a contradiction which is necessary. I mean, that's how humanity are. That is like from this North American model, then also like engineering or industry. So then, and the whole, anyway, the whole, everything in a way, everything is as within capitalism and the production of goods. So more things are being made in the States, although that is not necessary in terms of quality, because then Nassim was saying that's a question I was having. Then still like the more respected or more taken into account as a research, of valid research, is the Europe still is leading. So there is this contradiction because there is not advancing so fast the industry as such in Europe uh, as in the States, but like serious research, we can say is still being seen. Europe still is having that position, and from what I heard from him, he was saying that it still is not being the case. Is going to be challenged in some time, because I was saying, I remember that the conversation started from me thinking that in places like China, where there is more like kind of a police state, then that I thought in time we will see an asymmetry in advancement, or like, yeah, somehow like in evolution, that we just gonna get behind in time in Europe. And then we just start talking on this.
Okay. Let's come back. I have to go like around 1/2 past, but let's come back and wrap up.
Yep.
So the way I see it from like what you said is like, I think, for example, like in a, like I see it more like a practical ways, like funding, where the funding comes from, and especially in the States. In Canada, maybe it's a little bit less of issue, but still like the research group in the universities, they're like it's like a company, or not a company, but you know, like entrepreneurs. Like professors are always, you know, looking for funding, and that's like the job for them to get funding from, like, especially like from
Mhm.
corporate partners, which is very different in Europe because there's a lot of like public funding that supports the research.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be like always connected to, you know, selling the product. But that's like engineering. I
Right.
mean, science, but the science, like hard science. I don't know what is hard and soft, but
No, but it makes sense. I mean, what you're saying, but I mean, that's what I was saying when at the introduction, or when the beginning, when I said, as in the thing from, I mean, one, we can argue that is everything is within capitalism, so capitalism as a whole, that you cannot separate from anything. So although I guess the straightforward way to see it is through industry, so engineering, I guess, or like production of things, um and then natural sciences, I think still they are, I mean, in the modes of production of knowledge, still they relate, or I guess they try to escape the modes of production of knowledge, but they are within the production of knowledge, which is part of
totally,
this capitalism. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally. Like even if it's like really like theoretical um, research, they have to come up with a way to, you know, connected to the end product in a way.
Totally, because I mean, at the end, that's why often you hear then is return of investment. You know, these kind of words of research, like could be natural sciences. What is the return of investment for the stakeholders?
Yeah, because I still remember like when I was doing bachelor's thesis, I was in a physics lab, and it was like really like I wouldn't say weird research, but like it's really niche. Like, and we know that
what were you doing?
We're making LEDs, but it's not the normal LED, of course. It emits polarized, circularly polarized, how is it called? It's not just polarized light, but there's like circular polarized light when you inject spin electrons or something like that. I forgot the whole story. That's just a bachelor thesis, like more than 10 years ago. But basically, like, okay, like you know, and the professor was trying to like get more funding by pitching this as saying that it's going to be like end product. The diode, it's like the LED itself will be replacing whatever ways to to make circularly polarized light, how it's done in the industry nowadays. But we can see that it's going to take forever, or it's never going to happen, because the efficiency we get in the lab is like, I don't know, like 1% of what you can get in the other ways to produce it. So like to compare to the competitors, and there's no hope that we're going to make this as a product, and it's more for this like physics research. It's more for the science that we're doing it, but still he has to kind of like fit it into a way that he can sell it.
Totally entrepreneurship approach. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, he was
this
saying
is gonna this is gonna change the world. This is gonna
yeah, it's gonna be better, like I don't know, 200% better than the previous chip.
This is crazy. This is so wow. Like the what you sent me with this the artificial intelligence computer.
I was like, I mean,
it makes sense
PC.
It makes sense somehow, but at the same time, I thought like, wow, for that to be, I mean, also from the point of view of how trustable is a system, then it's gonna be dynamic all the time.
I mean, like, I really didn't get the catch. Like, what's really the point? Because it comes down to like saving all the screenshots. Like, okay,
right? Yeah.
like, what does it have to do with AI? Like, I understand, because if we can, if that can process the data locally, it kind of like bypass the privacy issue. But is that what is innovative? Like, aren't we like aren't they like swapping the objective and the means, the methodology or methods? It's just they're just doing it for the sake of doing it, right?
It seems, yeah, but this is actually, I guess I mentioned because it felt that it's in the same atmosphere. Like there is not a product for. I mean, as a user, like I don't want to be your beta. I mean, your test. I mean, and they're selling the. Are they selling that as a product, like these things, or not? Yeah, I mean, right. Or
yeah, that's gonna be like a next sold? Windows.
That sucks, man. Like, who's gonna who wants to buy that? Like, and you know what is the worst is like, but I guess is that there are gonna be people who have the means to just buy it, like just maybe to do a review in YouTube and then stack it up.
Yeah, but have you used like latest Windows? Well, not latest, but like recent ones. comes
The
with, you know, like
11, you mean?
yeah, or 10 even. Like it comes with this like voice, how to say, like as like Siri kind of thing, and you know, it asks you to connect to OneDrive, and you know, it's, I mean, Mac is the same, but you know, I feel Windows is a little bit more than, you know, Mac, in the sense that it's trying to, you know, step into your privacy, or you know, it's a
But
bit too
isn't it
much.
that also like was that also not Clippy doing in Word? This Clippy, how was called this clip?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's called Clippy. But that's not, it's not trying to get your data, right? I mean, yeah, in a sense that, you know, trying to sell
I mean that
things, I think it's the same.
we don't know that. We don't know that. It's trying to help you. I mean, also in the way who is being drawn and everything is very friendly clip. It's trying to help you. And it's
Yeah.
a clip, you need to use clips for notes and things like that. So yeah, okay, yeah, maybe I need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's the same that, you know, they're doing for something we didn't ask for.
That's so wrong. I mean, this is just, but this, because actually, if you think, I mean, I really like the Clippy, and also I guess more is part of like a, yeah, the past, and you know, like memory of the past. But nobody, I mean, I was so annoyed by that shit all the time, right?
Yeah.
Popping
Yeah.
everywhere and just telling you things, and you're like, but no, what? Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just there. And we have no choice. You know, if you use new Windows, then it will come with like, not the Clippy, but something more invasive.
But it speaks to you because I mean, I know, like we, yeah, as you said, like Mac also just help you to set up, no?
Yeah.
And Windows talks to you or what?
What do you
In
mean, like?
Windows, that process, it will talk to you in that process of starting your computer.
Well, it asks you to sign up, right? And it's so hard to like go around it.
But yeah, I tried also. Yeah.
I mean, there is still a way, but to, you know, log in without a Microsoft account. But, you know,
It's no.
I'm the kind of person who always refuses cookie. And I know this is such a, you know, like a lot of work. And I know that, you know, 99% of people, they just like say accept it. And those people, if they log into Windows, I'm sure they're going to set up a Microsoft account, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, so maybe we should do that too. In our show, you have to sign up, you know,
To see the show.
as an audience, you know, and then we'll track your data, but we don't say it, you know, it's in this like little disclaimer that, you know,
Yeah.
your all the information is tracked, and we use it for
Which is very,
marketing purpose.
which I think like now these days is so overseen this that in media art, for instance, the way who in the academy they do that is so brutal because it's basically it's in your. I mean, they're being clear. There's not more letters, but they're just being clear that if you don't agree, then just you don't enter to see the piece. So then, yeah, sorry, it's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there's like a kind of like activist performers doing this kind of show that when you enter the space, like they kind of like track your data. Bless you. Salud. And yeah, but I don't remember how they do it. Like I think they ask you to, you know, like log into the Wi-Fi, and then if you connect to the Wi-Fi, you're already like giving up some of the data, right? From your phone, like very basic data, but you can present it in a way that, you know, we're tracking you. So just as a threat more than actually like getting meaningful data. But yeah.
But I remember like because that was part of the project with Joe, with the Moody. That was part of the project. Was I mean, it's we based on data we were drawing visualizations, but then the way how we did it, at least in principle, is that it will not be permanent. So it will be just during certain time. and then it will be disappear. But they signed some, not everywhere, but often they will sign something.
Who, the visitor, the participant,
The
or
audience, the
Yeah.
participant, because it
Okay.
was data, no? So it was we needed the data to create visualizations and to tell them. It was part, so it was within the ethos
Yeah,
of the
ethics.
performance. So then
Mm.
the person is fine. It's not only that it's gonna happen and that's it. You cannot do it.
Mm. But I also, like, it's tricky, like who's actually checking this, because so like at the beginning of the call, I said, we have this like super urgent document that we have to sign, and that's for the ethics application, because this is the last round of the academic year. So if we miss this, it's going to be like summer vacation, which I I should have brought it up earlier, because it's for myself, my study. And basically, this is kind of like a, like peer checking, each other that we're doing okay. So we're not just like, as a lab, we're not just saying that we collect data and delete it at this time, but there is someone also, well, they're not going to check if we're actually deleting the data, but they're checking that we're following the protocol, at least on the paper. And then, like, if it's like more independent study, like you did, I don't know how, because Joe was also part of the school, right, at one point. So I don't, but I guess it's not really like, it's not the engineering school, so
No, but
I don't
also
know
it was
how.
not that was not part of the school. Like we just presented within the frame of the Ars Electronica,
Okay.
but it was not. It was a project that was not related to his studies.
Yeah. So yeah, but this is like an interesting question to me. Like, as an artist, how would you do that? Because it's also relevant. But then also actually, there's interesting collective. I think it's called Pang Collective, that they kind of do like really like activist stuff. I forgot what exactly the projects are, but the story is that they also like they always consult, have a lawyer, like a partner, as a partner. So if they have this kind of, I don't know, intervention or performance, they always come to the go to the lawyer and ask if this is like okay or not. Do we get into trouble or not? And that's really smart.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense for people who are. I think I shared with you once that I went to see this performance of this guy called Chris Deporter, the one who created this app of Die With Me.
Sorry, I couldn't get the name.
Chris Deporter. Dries Deporter.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
The guy from this app Die With Me. And then of course, like, his work is basically, and because he's always dealing with that interfaces that gather data, or like he will just scraping companies and stuff like that. So he needs base lawyer.
Yeah.
Wait,
okay.
Can we like to round out, like wait, so maybe you just be close here if you want. Yeah. And then, but I want to ask you something for with the readings that you're doing a bit because I'm getting a bit lost. So I guess that's more specific. Or before, maybe we can see.
No, we can just continue. A few minutes in this, or what were you looking for?
So because I think I got from Sarah, because I'm interested from Sarah. So so then there is two things that I opened where is Sarah. And then is there something else that you have been reading? You mentioned this as a book, but is that her thesis? So
yeah, so it's called
which things?
Habilitation. That's like a thesis, but in France, you have to write it to get professorship, to qualify for the professorship. So
A
it's
thesis after the PhD or what? After the postdoc?
so it's not like after a postdoc time.
Okay.
So you're already supervising students, and
Mhm.
then you write this, and then you get then you qualify to apply for professorship. That's what Nuno told me. So it doesn't mean that you automatically get, after defending this habilitation, you don't get the professorship, but then you can apply for professorship. So it's kind of like already like compiled a lot of things after, it's way more than her thesis. It's actually between that she finished thesis and then, doing her postdoc and then supervising other PhD students, things are compiled there.
Okay, so maybe if you can help me, because and also might help you, but then do you mind to in the chat to put again the links of the papers that you have been reading of her with a small sentence of what is there that you find interesting or that I might find interesting also? That will be super.
Right.
Then I can, because I at some point it's in the chat just got lost. So then I would like to do that.
Right. I mean, it depends. I mean, it's not a big book. And I can point to the chapter where is relevant because also like I have like some things that I maybe already mentioned, but I haven't read. I only read from her book, but I haven't got into the specific paper. So I know just like an abstract or the summary of the paper. So
which things that can you because maybe there are not so many. So how many things are from Sarah that we are talking about?
We are talking about actually I lost track because there are also like other things that I'm interested, but I didn't really specifically brought up here. But we could like maybe like we do another chat that we maybe just like go through. I mean, not like to go read through, but yeah.
I think that could be useful, and that could serve maybe as a preparation, and then we invite her then, and next time.
Right. Yeah.
That could be interesting then, if in this idea of kind of a series or like introduction to somebody and then going into their work.
Right. Yeah, I just sent you a link, but especially like because in the book she has a lot of images that's coming from the papers, so it's also like visually like going through would be like give a good sense of what it is about. So that's that.
Right. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. But I mean, since you are, I'm also flexible, especially today and tomorrow with time. So when you find some time, you want to just catch up, and we do this together with the public.
Yeah. Cool.
Super. Nice. Have a good day. Enjoying your writing, your paper making.
Paper making.
Yes.
Have a good one. Ciao.